Okay, Secretcrest Chargers, we're going to do a few things on Advanced Math 47. Remember, this is this assignment is review. Again, we've done these things before, so I'm going to go through this video and make sure that we all know how to do it. We're really just going to take one of these problems and do this. We're going to learn how to write an equation in slope-intercept form from a set of coordinates. We're going to learn how to write a perpendicular line given this information. And then we're going to learn how to write an equation in point-slope form. So we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to go ahead and get started with number 6. We'll just start that way. There are two things that we've got to find, okay? We are writing an equation in y equals mx plus b form. There's two things we've got to find. We've got to find the b, which is the y-intercept, and we've got to find the slope, which is indicated by m. So, looking at the coordinates that we have here, there is already an indication of the b. If you look at this carefully, right here, when the input is 0, when x is 0, the y-coordinate is always the b. So in this case, our b is -7. So our equation is going to end in -7. The only other thing we've got to figure out is how to find the slope. And what I like to do, this is my preferred method, I like to take the coordinates 4, 0 and stack it on top of 0, -7. And remember, slope is the change in the y-coordinate over the change in the x-coordinate. So what I like to do is stack them and then just look. How do you describe the numerical change from 0 to -7? Well, it went down 7. Okay, so I'm going to put -7 on top. That's the change in y. And then as we look at the x, we went from 4 to 0. That went down 4. So over here, I'm going to write -4. Now that's your slope. That is your m. All right. Now that's not really in simplest form. -7/4 is equivalent to +7/4. Remember, a negative divided by a negative is a positive. So let's put this all together. You can leave it in that form. Y equals mx plus b. The m is 7/4. You can write it as 7/4. You can also write it as 1 3/4 if you like. That's another way to do it. You can write it in a mixed number form, 1 3/4. Or some kids like to make it a decimal, right? And you can say 1.75. It doesn't really matter which way you do that. And then remember, your y-intercept is -7. So that is how you write an equation in slope-intercept form, just given 2 points. Secondly, we're going to talk about perpendicular. Now, when we see the word perpendicular, here's what we have been taught, and this is what we need to remember. A perpendicular slope is the opposite sign, right? So negative to positive, positive to negative, and it's the reciprocal, okay? So in other words, 1/3 and 3/1. Those are reciprocals, okay? So it's not going to be too hard to find the slope. We have already been given a slope of -3. Now, -3/1 is the current slope. So the opposite sign is positive. So this is going to be a positive slope, and instead of 3/1, it's going to be 1/3. So our m is 1/3. I want you guys to think about what that means. What that means is that the y, as the y, really what we want to do is we want to talk about as the x goes up by 3, the y goes up by 1. Right? As the x goes up by 3, the y goes up by 1. Right? As the x goes up by 3, the y goes up by 1. Now what I've done is I've just made a simple t-chart, an input-output chart. This is the point that they say it passes through. So we have a parallel line passing through this spot. This is not the y-intercept, and what we want to do is find the y-intercept. So we know the slope, we know it passes through here. You could graph this, but what I'd rather do is work my way back up with an input of 0. We're already at -3. We've talked about when the x goes up by 3, right? So -3 plus 3 is 0. See how well that works? That means the y went up by 1. So there is your y-intercept. So here it is. Y equals 1/3 x, and we happen to figure out mathematically using slope that our y-intercept is 6. You could have also graphed this to figure this out, but this is a way to do it that way. And then lastly, writing an equation in point-slope form is actually pretty easy. There's one main thing we've got to find, which is the m. Everything else is here, okay? There's three things we need. We need y sub 1, we need x sub 1, and we need m, okay? This is the x sub 1, this is the y sub 1, and we're going to find slope first, okay? So again, we're going to stack them. We have 7, 2. We have 2, 12. Okay, those are ordered pairs. We want to analyze how the y coordinates change. We clearly go from 2 to 12. So the y coordinate went up 10, positive 10. And then the x coordinate, which is here, went from 7 to 2 and went down 5. Folks, 10 divided by -5 is -2. So we're going to put that into point-slope form. Point-slope form equals y minus y sub 1 equals the slope, m, times x minus x sub 1. All we've got to do is plug these values in. There is your m right there. So m is going to be, we'll change the color to blue, -2. That number goes there. And the x sub 1 and the y sub 1, okay? Remember, I'm sorry, I have that backwards over here. Duh. This is the x sub 1. This is the y sub 1. I had that reversed. I'm so sorry. Maybe because it's kind of reversed in the deal there. The x sub 1 is a 7. And the y sub 1 is the 2. And that's all you got to do to put that into point-slope form. Find the m, and then use the first set of coordinates for the x sub 1 and the y sub 1. Thanks, Chargers.